All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Real excited to be able to do this banquet. I know it's unfortunate not to be able to do this live and in person. It's a great night every year to be able to come together as the PKB GT community and not only celebrate uh, players' excellence throughout this year, but have a chance to be outside the stress of playing and that environment, get to know our fellow competitors and families better. One of the definite biggest struggles of the COVID changes have forced a little less personal, being able to not be able to get together. So we definitely look forward to next year to be able to do this in person live again for the banquet. But really, blessed to be able to still do this tonight virtually. Real excited to have our featured guest tonight, LPGA superstar, Ms. Brittany Lincicome, who's going to share some of her story through golf, and we're excited to be able to hear from her later tonight. And for us as the tour, a chance to recognize excellence in the 2019-2020 season here in a little bit. And today, after our first round of the 12th annual PKB Invitational, historic day at Bermuda Run West. Not only did the PKB scoring record get beat today, so we had a 63 9 under par round, now leading the tournament by 5 by Sarah M. from Duluth, Georgia. 10 birdies today. Amazing golf out there on the West Course. 9 players under par as we head into moving day tomorrow back over on the East Course. So want to definitely take this chance to say a special thank you to Mary Thomas, all the members and staff at Bermuda Run Country Club for having us back. This is our 3rd year of having the invitation of Bermuda Run. Just the hospitality, the preparation they put into getting the facility ready for this event, for the members and volunteers that are coming out to support the event. We really appreciate their time and effort to making this a special event for the girls. So definitely thank you to Mary and her team. And we're real excited about what the next 2 days bring. And especially excited for 2 days of 70-degree weather in November. So I know everyone is thrilled about that as well. So we look forward to that. But the Peggy Kirk Bell Tour was founded in 2007. So we're entering our 14th season here for 2020-21 season. This year, throughout all the challenges, we still were able to run over 100 events for the girls. There's over 1,000 girls now participating on the PKB, which we're really excited to see the continued growth of the girls' game, and are really, pleased to be able to provide a venue for these girls to continue to show their excellence, like we saw today, to get that exposure and the camaraderie. The fact that community is a really big piece for us of why this foundation was started, to strengthen the American girls golf game, to be able to create an environment that was all about the girls. Every decision we made, whether it was the structure of the divisions or the way we set up golf courses, or the fact that we have, purple everything when you come to the golf course, it just feels different. That's what we were hoping to create, and we're real so pleased to be able to see how it has evolved over these years and resonated with the girls and families who are able to come take advantage of these tournaments to hopefully further their dreams of either playing at the collegiate level or beyond. And I know it'd be a great thing to hear from Brittany about her experiences playing out there, as I know a lot of you playing this weekend have that dream. The PKB is part of the Girls Golf of America Foundation. We're a 501c3 nonprofit foundation, so we are supported by our fees as well as private and corporate donations and partnerships. That's what allows us to continue to try to grow these opportunities to new areas and to offer more events and experiences that we can. Events like the Linville Cup and other events like that have a bigger scope than not just a golf tournament, which is something we're always looking to try to build upon. We have Giving Tuesday coming up on December 1st. It's a big a time of year for us to be able to further our initiatives and to do hopefully do more to raise the profile of girls golf in America again. So we appreciate all those who have supported us in the past, and if you're able to in the future, we do appreciate all of that, and hopefully we can continue to put it to good use in creating these more opportunities. I do want to say a couple special thank yous. Once a year I get a chance to usually stand in front of you, and now here virtually through the web. But I do want to say thank you to my team, the individuals that really make this all happen. We've had some new individuals join our team, so hopefully you've met some new faces here over the last months. And had a couple move on. So a couple quick thank yous. First, a couple of moved on, as you know, Shelby Ozeki, who did such a great job for the tour on the administration side, left us just a couple months ago. She was such a valuable. She started as an intern with our organization and was such a for 3.5 years. Did such a great job. So I definitely want to say thank you to her. And definitely the great team that we now have assembled. I'm so excited about the opportunities this presents us to have such a well-rounded team and an excited, energetic team to be able to take this tour further. So hopefully you met today out on the course. He was running the first team. Mike Gibbons, our national tournament director, who joined us from different tours. He had worked on the professional side, Symetra Tour, and the mini tour side. So we're so blessed to have his experience level come help us operate our national tournaments. Of course, the gentleman who helped put this together in the great banquet last weekend, Donnelly Wolf, who manages all our marketing communications. So I'm sure you've seen him out there with the camera and helping us tell the story and trying to tell everybody how great these girls are. And our two new tournament directors who have joined the team in the last couple of months, Killian Casson and Erica Hallmark. So definitely take a second to welcome them to the team and to the PKB community. We're so excited to have them. Killian is actually a PKB alumnus. She played as a junior player, and Erica has worked both with the Mid-Atlantic PGA and others prior to her PGA time there at Methodist University. So she's got some ties to the region as well. So excited to have such a great group around me. That's what allows us to do what we're able to do. And all of our regional tournament directors who that are out there helping us run the developmental events, creating opportunities for girls. So hopefully, we can get more and more girls. We're at 1,000 girls now, and that's a great benchmark. One we were really striving for, but we're really hoping to continue to grow on that. We're really motivated to try to keep pushing forward and create these opportunities. So to them, thank you, and to all the rules officials, volunteers, the courses, and everyone that really makes this really is a community that has to come together to make these opportunities happen. We could not do that without their support. So for me, and the board of directors here at Girls Golf of America, this is our thank you. We really appreciate all that you're doing. It is making a difference, and we're going to continue to work as hard as we can to grow these opportunities and continue to expand what we do. So thank you so much for that. So before I get to our special guest tonight, we wanted to take this opportunity to recognize the excellence that was had last year on the PKB national level. So this series started back in October of 2019 and concluded with our tour championship at Pine Needles in August of this year. So we're going to recognize and go through our three national divisions: our Futures National, our Prep Preview, and the Bell National Series. So we are going to start our first part here. We're going to recognize our Futures National season review.
I would like to thank PKB and all the golf courses for hosting these fun tournaments. I'd like to thank my coach for all he has done with my game. I'd like to thank my parents for all their support.
I would like to thank my parents for supporting me throughout the entire journey. All the courses that we played, PKB for hosting all of them, and Robert Linville for helping me.
I'd like to thank my parents and my coach for always believing in me even through this crazy season. I'd like to thank PKB. I love coming to these tournaments. Everyone that comes out, you guys make it a great experience. And then I also like to thank the courses. They're always in great condition and I love playing with them.
On behalf of them, 3 great champions etching their name on that cool trophy that you see that they have that has all the award names on it, the players who have won that order of merit over the 11 previous seasons on there, 13 previous seasons that are on that trophy. So to be able to kind of have their name etched on it as well, definitely a special accomplishment and something I know they're proud of, and we're honored to add their names to this list for their great performances last season. And I'm really excited that now we've started into our 2020-2021 season now, and we're on the race to find out whose name will be on those trophies next year in our Futures National Prep Preview and Bell National Series. So congratulations to Sydney Hackett, Grace Ridenauer, and Madison Bessemer, our 2020-21 PKB National Order of Merit Champions. So congratulations, ladies. So next, I'm excited to be able to move on to have our special guests join us tonight. First, I want to introduce Brandy Jackson. Brandy owns Brandy Jackson Golf. She's actually a great player, previously played on the LPGA Tour, was a standout performer at Furman University down in Greenville, South Carolina. And since her professional playing career ended, has devoted her life and her career to furthering the interest of the girls' game through assistance in the recruiting process. We started working together about 6 or 7 years ago. It's been a great partnership to have someone with her knowledge, her energy, her commitment and passion for girls golf and wanting to help these girls have more opportunities. So it's been such a great partnership for us to have her working with the PKB all these years to be able to form this Recruit PKB initiative. we're real excited that over 900 girls now have come through the PKB program to get a college scholarship in 13 years. So, we're real, pleased to be able to be that pipeline for these players. Brandy has definitely been a big part of that. So, what I'd like to do is bring Brandy on, and Brandy's going to introduce our special guest tonight, who are LPGA superstar, one of the best American players in the game, Brittany Lincicome, who has donated some of her time tonight to be able to come out and hopefully shed some wisdom to all of our players who aspire to be a professional athlete in golf. So, Brandy, I'm going to turn it over to you, and thank you for being here tonight.
Yes, Mike, thanks for having me. I hope, I'm sure if y'all can't hear me, hopefully somebody in the chat box will let me know. I'll keep this really short so that we can get Brittany on here. And I know she's got her little girl who joined us a little while ago while we were testing things out that she's got to tend to. But I'm excited to have her join me. I sent her a message last week to ask if she would, and I mean there was no hesitation to hop on. She's a great ambassador for girls golf. I met Brittany when I was out playing. I guess when I got back out on tour in 2009, and just always enjoyed keeping up with her and following her in her career, which has been outstanding. She's made over $9 million in her career, 2 major wins, 8 LPGA wins. Just had an outstanding career out there, and you just don't get much nicer, just considerate girl than lady. So used to working with all you girls than you do with Brittany. So excited to have her join us. So let's see if we can get her video and audio. There we go.
Hi.
Hey, how are you?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Yes, I'm excited to have you. I know and a little audio stuff. Gotta love all this technology we got going on, but I mean it's been great because it lets us do stuff like this that normally you would just rely on somebody being in person. So thanks so much for joining. I know the girls out there watching now and who are going to watch the replay are really going to enjoy hearing from you. So
awesome.
So let's just kind of dive in, and then while any of you girls that are on here, I'd love to just let you all type in some questions if you want me to ask. We may not get to all of them. I know the ones of you that are playing tomorrow got another long day tomorrow. So girls, or parents, feel free to type some questions in the chat box, and I'm happy to cover them. But I'm gonna kind of kick off with a few questions that either we received through social media or that I want to ask Brittany myself. So. So I guess we can just kind of dive into this year and what this year has been and then how that adjustment's been. I know it was already going to be an adjustment for you, coming back out after having Emory and a little bit of, a new year being a new mom, throw in this whole COVID situation. So how have you handled this year? What's been the ups and downs to it? Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, obviously with everything going on, it's been such a bummer to not be playing golf and be out there, but it's been such a blessing to have Emory at the perfect time. So I had her all year and I got to spend so much extra time with her, and my husband got to spend extra time with her because the plan was for her to just travel with me every week that I was playing. And obviously we would have been gone, 25 or so weeks out of the year. So he would have missed that time. So all in all, the big picture, it's actually been a blessing, and we've been home a bunch and got to see so many of her first, and there's so many more to come. But all in all, I would love to be playing more golf and competing in more events, but we'll never get this time back with her, and we're really soaking it up and enjoying every second of it. So all in all, it's been pretty great.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think the golf world has definitely, for a rare time when crazy stuff goes on, usually when it's the economy and stuff, it's always the golf world that gets hit so hard. This has been the one time that I think golf has been such an outlet for many people. I know for the girls out there, it has been, because they've been, it's been a little different, but they've been able to keep playing. I know the college world's a little different. The college coaches have not been able to recruit and travel. It's been a little bit different, but you just got to learn how to take see it for the best that you can. Like you said, it's been a little bit of a blessing in disguise for being able to spend more time at home and not have to be out there quite as much, because it is a grind out there. I know, a little bit from my experience, not, it was very sporadic and off and on, but talk, just what is that kind of grind? Unfortunately, some people love to talk about how being a professional golf is the greatest thing ever. And it is. I mean, I would never change it and go back, but it is a grind.
Yeah.
So for those girls that do want to play, we'll start with maybe the grind part of it, and then we'll maybe backtrack onto some of the more positive parts of it. But what is that grind, the tough parts of it, the ups and downs to that side?
I think the toughest part is the travel, the being away from the family, the not sleeping in your own bed is such a silly thing you would think, but it's actually a very big thing. So just those three things. And, but again, it's hard to complain when your job is out playing golf on these beautiful golf courses and you make money playing golf. So, there's definitely pros and cons to it, but, the travel is by far the hardest, but, it obviously gives you so many rewards that, those bad travel days seem to kind of disappear and you just kind of focus on those good days. But it's kind of the same for everybody. I mean, everybody has to go through it. Everybody has those bad travel days. You're just hoping it's more going to a tournament than it is coming home because you're obviously so excited to get home. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't change it for anything. I think this is my 16th season and it's just something about being out there and competing and being in that moment. Being in competition, it just goes through your veins. It's just a cool feeling, and I just love it so much.
Well, you said that, and that's something that, a lot of these girls that I know that are playing in the PKB Invitational and in these up-and-coming girls, we talk a lot about being a competitor and not wanting, you don't love to lose and having that kind of in your system. Mm-hmm. What do you think, do you think that's something that is very kind of born into you? Do you think it's something you kind of pick up and develop? What do you think those traits are, those things that really kind of bring out that real competitor in some people that helps you want to stay out there for 16 years, and for these girls that want to play junior golf in college and out on tour to help them with that?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely both. There's been times in junior golf days where my dad took my golf clubs away from me for a week or two at a time, and I was not allowed to play. He could see that I wasn't enjoying it. I wasn't having a good time. And it was just that little break that I needed to kind of be like, okay, I really missed this. I want to go play again. So I was grateful for the way my family raised me and how I played the game. Because there's a lot more bad days than there are good days. I mean, like you said earlier, I've had 8 wins, but I've been on tour 16 years. So there's obviously a lot of weeks in there that I haven't won or haven't played my best, or you miss a cut and then you start worrying about other things. But yeah, to your girls, I mean, there's good days and bad days, and you just got to take them both, and you got to learn from them. There's always something to be you can learn from both of those days. So just learning how to kind of calm my emotions. And if I make a bogey or a double bogey or even a bigger number, just the next hole focusing on, trying to make a birdie or, just trying to get that out of my mind and think about now my daughter, or I love to go fishing or, going to a movie with a friend or whatever it may be, but kind of putting that beside and not thinking about that bad hole and just kind of moving on has really helped my game and kind of got me to the next level. So we all have those bad days or those bad holes, and it's just kind of how you learn to get past those days, I think, is how you learn to be a great competitor. And then you just kind of figure it out. It's trial and error. And obviously these girls are young and they have a long way to go. And it's just learning from everyday experiences and how can you get better? What did you learn from the round today?
Yeah, it's so true. And I know it's easy. I have to catch myself not being too much of who I am now versus, those 15, 16, 17-year-old girls, those emotions. And some of them are asking about, how do I not think about my score? And I'm like, at that age, like you're going to, the first time you're going to break, 40 or, shoot under par for the first time, I think because there's such more education and understanding, there's so much more expectation. And, we were just a couple of years apart, I think. And you didn't know those things in a lot of cases in junior golf. We were just trying to figure it out. And, you didn't know the difference in being, handling your emotions. You were just all over the place. And then now I said there's a lot of resources. But what, maybe some of those differences, you touched on the emotional part of it. That is something that these girls that are watching, I mean, that is a big part of it. I mean, they're going just through those ups and downs of the emotions, that thinking back to those junior golf days of it, as opposed to how we can, kind of feel a little bit different about it now. That maybe can help them at that age just to maybe understand that sometimes it's okay but yet we're in how to kind of shut those emotions off a little bit.
Yeah. So even now I'm 35 years old, and I think to myself that if I could just play like my 10-year-old self, I would be so good. I was so carefree. I literally found the ball, hit the ball, find the ball, hit the. It was just like, you never really thought about other things or score, or like your world was going to end if you had a bad day, like it just seems to do now. It's so weird. But yeah, I would just love to go back and just be carefree like my 10-year-old self. And you know, back then I felt like my world was ending, but now I felt like, looking back, that it was totally fine, and it was great. So you can get mad, you can be hard on yourself and want to be better. I mean, if you're not hard on yourself, or you're not upset that you had a bad day, then, you know, maybe you don't care for the game as much as somebody else does. So yeah, I think it's good if you get mad at yourself, or if you get upset, or you want to do better. So, but just always learn. You can always learn from each shot, each round. And but just so when I'm out playing now, like I said, I think about Emory, or I think about fishing, or you can't focus on golf the whole 9 holes or the whole 18-hole round. It's too long. I mean, we play 5-hour rounds of golf and they take forever. So even at times I've had like Sudoku little puzzles in my yardage book just to try to kill some time. So maybe that could be something that would help some of the girls, of just kind of taking your mind off what's happening and do that for a second and then go hit your shot. But yeah, your world is going to be fine, and there's something to learn from it, and you're going to be better the next day for what had happened. So it's going to be okay.
Yeah, it's like you said, I think there's that 8, 9, 10-year-old stage where you do get to play freer. And I think, again, for us, I don't think we as junior golfers probably felt as much of that pressure and that expectation that I see these 16, 17-year-old girls who do. I mean, they feel like the weight of the world is just on them to have to play good. And then again, it's easy to say that, you know, it's going to be okay and it'll all work out. But if you told me that back then, I would have, you know, been like, no, I can't. Like, I can't, you know, I got to win this tournament, or I got to go do, you know, like, you just think it's like, it is. And again, it's easy. And I know it's just kind of, you know, being a dead horse, basically, of trying to tell girls that like I said, I know we wouldn't have listened. I didn't even listen when you said. I'm 39 now, and I, you know, still get the ups and downs of it all. So I don't know if that ever really kind of changes.
I don't think it does. And I still get nervous to this day. I mean, I've, like I said, been out there 16 years, and it could be the smallest tournament of the year, or it could be the US Open, and my hands are shaking, they're sweating. It takes me probably 5 or 6 holes to finally calm myself down enough to be like, okay, like, I've got it figured out. I know which way the golf ball is going today. Yeah. I've made a few pars. Like, I'm going to be okay. And it's so funny. I know I've had a conversation with Julie Inkster before, and she was like, Britt, if you're not nervous, you're not human. So it obviously means that I just really care so much that I want to go out and do my best every time, that I kind of work myself up a little bit. But even to this day, I still get nervous. So it's totally normal. That first tee shot is the worst, and I'm always so happy when it's over. I always hope it's like a really easy hole that has no trouble on it, so I don't have to worry about anything. But even at our level, we still go through the same problems as the junior golfers, which is, it doesn't go away. It's still great.
Which is great to hear, because I think, and I can remember myself when somebody would ask, well, you know, are you nervous? You think you're supposed to say no, because you think that people think that, like, if you're nervous, there's something wrong, as of, you know, and no, I'm not nervous. Like, I'm because they think nervous means a lack of confidence, I feel like, and that, you know. But I think hearing you say that will hopefully help them know that, like, sometimes if you just say it, you know what, yes, I'm nervous. Like, you kind of just get it off your chest a little, instead of trying to put this front on that, like, no, like, I've won a golf tournament before. Like, I know what this feels like, when you really have absolutely, like, no idea, you know, that nervous feeling. And you know, again, I think when you try to kind of disguise it instead of see it as a positive in a way that, like you said, you know, you're in that position and, you know, it's a good thing. You just got to use that energy for good and good energy, instead of, you know, like you said, those first holes where it can get a little crooked sometimes. And again, girls out there, you know, if anybody's out there wants to ask any questions, feel free to type them in the chat box. Well, I do know I'm sure we've got some parents on here watching, and, you know, what would be, you know, especially again for the junior golfers and the parent relationship that's out there, you know, how do you see that? What's some advice you have for the parents, just in terms of, you know, how they can handle, you know, helping. The biggest thing I get from them is, how do I help them? They say they have these goals. How do I help them without pushing too hard? How do you feel like some of that, what was your experience with your parents like through all of that as junior golf, and some of that advice for parents out there?
Yeah, it's really tricky. And I feel like it's kind of a fine line. You want to push them to obviously reach for their dreams and reach for the stars and be the best that they can. But you don't want to push them over where then it's like, it's a job when they're teenagers, when they're supposed to be having fun. So, or, looking at colleges or, so it's definitely a fine line. You just kind of got to feel the situation out. Sometimes your child might even need that little push to try to get them, to want to be better and to push them a little bit. So I feel like you just, obviously my daughter's only one, so I'm not quite there yet, but, just knowing what my parents did, they never pushed too hard. And like I said earlier, if I was having a bad week, or if I, was just looked upset, or golf was bothering me, my dad would take the clubs away from me for a while. And then if I enjoyed it and I came back to it, then great. If not, I don't think they would have pushed any harder. So luckily I did go back, but it's definitely kind of a fine line. You just got to feel it out. I feel like, keeping it fun, keeping it light. I hate practicing, so I do all my practicing on the course. So maybe your child wants to hit balls for, a couple hours a day, or maybe they really enjoy playing, and you just got to find kind of what makes them happy. Or maybe like some drills, chipping drills, where you try to chip it into a basket or at a target, or something fun. My mom, even to this day, does like, I'll give you $5 if you hit the green, something silly like that, just to try to push me to hit a better shot. But just doing little things like that to keep it fun, but obviously, pushing them to, whether it's high school golf, college golf, or wanting to turn pro one day. It's just so great that these girls or kids are all in golf, and even in the future in business, if they don't play in any, college or anything, it's just such a great game to play at all ages. So I think it's so great. But yeah, I feel like there's not really one answer of like, oh, listen to Brittany or Brandy and your child's going to be the next pro. So, because I mean, we've grown up with girls that have actually kicked my butt growing up in junior golf days and never did anything with it, which was crazy. And then other girls who didn't seem as good that came up and, we all got our tour cards. So there's no one formula to getting your child from point A to point B, getting them out on tour. It's just kind of feeling them out, not pushing them too hard, but pushing them when they need it. And
I know it's a tough question. That's why as I started phrasing it, I wanted a little more specific that I was going to ask. And even as I get ready to say it, I was like, it's such a broad question. It is, and it's what, it's what I do kind of, I say deal with, but handle on a daily basis, is that parent-player relationship. And like you said, there's no one right way or wrong way. There are some extreme cases that you certainly don't like to see. But I said, I think there's both sides of that. There's the too tough, the too hard. And then there's some cases where I've even seen some parents be too, and my parents will probably tell you they kind of got that way a little bit of being afraid to push too much and not wanting to be. They've seen some bad cases, and my dad was afraid he was going to be that way. That sometimes you are still young, and you need to be pushed. You need to be disciplined and have that instilled. If not, then you are going to be that 30-year-old who looks back and regrets it, and your parents feel bad that maybe they didn't help you move it along a little bit more.
Yeah, it's hard because kids these days have so much schoolwork too, and there's so many things that they have to focus on, and then you're trying to play a sport on top of it all, and how do you have time to do everything? And I can't even imagine. Thank goodness, junior golf days are over.
Well, and that was what somebody had asked was, what was your junior? I know you kind of talked about it a little bit, but what was your junior golf experience like? Did you play mostly in Florida? Did you play a lot more national? What did you do? Kind of junior golf. Obviously, our junior golf world was a little bit different than what they're in now, with so many more tournaments. Golf is literally year round now. It's much different. But what was yours like being there in Florida?
So great. I love that. So I started playing when I was 9, and my dad never put me in an event or like the next level event until I could kind of beat almost everybody kind of in my age group or in my division, I guess. So he worked it really slow and did a great job. So we started with like the Pinellas County tournaments here in Florida. And then we went to the greater Tampa, like the ones in Tampa. And I actually never left the East Coast. My parents have owned a preschool. Like we didn't have the money. So I only played in stuff on the East Coast. Whatever I got into, I didn't even get into AJGA events until like way later in high school. But yeah, he worked it really slow. And like I said, we started, our county, and then we went to Tampa, and then we finally started maybe going to Georgia. So we did it really slow and just kind of worked our way up, and eventually made it to a couple of AJGA events, and that was it.
Well, we've got one other question coming in, but what from that point made you want to was it something you always wanted to do, was play professional golf? My story was that's what, from the time I was little, it's what I wanted to do. That was my whole plan and all that, but was that something you knew kind of early on you wanted to do, or did you kind of figure that out later? At what point did you realize that really was what you wanted to do and get into?
Yeah, I think it was a little bit later. I mean, I liked playing when I was younger. I think I just liked driving the golf cart more than anything. Like I said, I started playing when I was 9. I actually did homeschooling from 6th grade through high school. So it was a little bit different than, a child going to school and then trying to turn pro. And so for me personally to go to college, study, do all my schooling, and then try to learn to play golf as a team and then travel as a team. It just seemed, it was a family decision. It just seemed too hard, too much, because obviously doing homeschooling, I could do my school in the morning, or I could do it in the afternoon or evening, and then play golf in between those. And it was very flexible. And obviously going to college and traveling as a team and playing for a golf team, it was just seemed a little bit harder. So the family decision was we would try to turn pro, and if we made it, great. And if not, then there was a few colleges that I had thought about going. So that was my route. And, that's another one that we get from parents all the time is, what does my kid do? Do they go to college? Do they turn pro? I'm like, it's such a hard, I sound like a hypocrite now. I always tell kids to go to school. That 4-year degree is so valuable. And from what I've heard, college is really fun to learning to travel as a team really seems helpful, turning pro. So when I turned pro, I had never traveled that much. I had never played that many golf courses before. So figuring it all out was very challenging. Luckily, my parents still to this day go everywhere I go, which is great. So I had that family support, but you have some kids that don't have that. And then we have these rookies that come out and don't have their parents or don't have that support system. And it's got to be so lonely and so hard. So I think there is something to, going to school, getting a free, degree, and then learning how to travel as a team and play golf as a team, and just getting a few more years experience. It's definitely not going to hurt. The tour is always going to be there. So why not?
Yeah, I agree. And obviously my role is helping kids go play college golf, but everybody's path, it is, everybody's just different. Everybody, it's just like you said, and not that it's that decision is that different, I think, now than what it was when we were coming through. I think you might see it a little, I don't know if you can say you can see it more or less necessarily. I don't think that's necessarily the case. But it's true. You get to learn, a little bit more about traveling and all that. But I did a podcast with Natalie from Furman earlier, who had just graduated and was getting ready to go play professionally, and talking about how it's almost more like going back to junior golf, though, because she went from being on a team traveling where everything was paid for, everything was planned for her, all her, like everything, her practice, all that. Now all of a sudden she turned pro, and she's like, now I'm back to like being responsible for everything and my own travel. And even though as a junior golfer, parents are doing it, but it was a little bit back to that, but yet being responsible for yourself at that. And it was a little bit of an eye opener that, college golf prepares you for it, but it also kind of gives you a little cushion of taking some of that responsibility off, because you are on a team and you have a coach, and and then all of a sudden you get out on tour, and it's just like, it's just you. Even if you have people with you, it's still, just kind of you, and it is.
We should write a book. I think we would make a lot of money.
Well, actually, that was one thing, and it's one of the things I always ask all the college coaches on my podcast is the funniest stories from stuff. And I do get asked that a good bit, again, even though, a lot of mine weren't as big of events on a yearly basis. Some of the housing stories and just some of those like crazy stories that like people, they just still don't realize that like we literally traveled and go and like, stay in other people's houses for a week and like all this stuff. And they're just like, that's just crazy.
Gotta save money.
Yeah, like I said, it's while there's lots of perks and fun stuff to it, there are definitely some interesting parts. Well, this is a quick and easy one that somebody asked is, what's been your lowest tournament score?
61. It was in California, and I'm pretty sure I barely made the cut. You don't realize when you shoot a really good score, and hopefully the girl that shot the 63 is not watching this, but it's really hard to back up a good score. So you shoot the good score, and then you're like, oh, everyone's like, you're going to win the tournament. And then, no. So it's just one of those days where literally everything went my way. Like I was making 30 footers like they were 3 footers, and it literally, like I was in another world, and I just wasn't focusing, and it was just happening. So, but it was still really cool, really fun. Made a lot of great putts and up and downs. And
well, it's hard because that next day, nothing, no matter what you do, is going to feel like it's as good as the feeling the day before. I mean, it's occasionally, but it's so hard to back up. I said that really good round where everything falls into place, because as soon as one thing doesn't, it's hard to kind of adjust after having such an easy day like that.
Yeah, it spirals down quickly.
We got another question that takes it back a little while to going up against Lorena and Julie in the 2006 Match Play Championship. Somebody wants to know about that.
Oh gosh, I mean, I am like a nobody, second year on tour. My dad's caddying. I've always liked match play because you can be so much more aggressive. I mean, you can make a 12 on a hole and still only be 1 down. So I wish we had more match play events now, but so that week, I mean, I literally was just like, okay, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just going to go out and play. And I just played good one day, and then I played good another day. And then I swear I beat Julie just because she was older than me and we had played so many holes of golf already, but that's not true because she's a Hall of Fame and a major player, so she knows what she's doing. But to beat her, Lorena, Michelle Wee, I mean, it's just, and my dad was caddying. That was my first win. My dad got my first win, and everything that my parents had sacrificed for me to get me, where I am today. It's just a cool story. Everyone asks, what's your greatest highlight on tour? What's your most memorable win? And that one always pops up, just having my dad in the bag. It's just a cool story.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, that's like you said, match play is just so different. I actually, speaking of Lorena, one of my biggest claims to fame when junior golf was beating Lorena in the U.S. Junior Girls when she was like all world. I was in the little Miss Nobody from South Carolina. I got in match play on the dot. I get paired up against Lorena, who was the number 1 or number 2 seed, and ended up beating her like 4-3 or something, and she cried the whole way back to the clubhouse. And so for the longest time, that is exactly, and I love it, super, super awesome person. But for so long, that was what I got to claim for a while, was that I had beat her in U.S. Junior Girls. But Michelle, you said match play is so different. It can be anybody's day, and I not to say I didn't have any right beating her, but it is, and not that you didn't going up against them, but I mean sometimes that's just how that goes with match play, which is what makes it so different and unique and so much fun. That head to head, only one winner kind of thing. It's such a cool experience.
It is very fun. I really wish we had at least one on the schedule every year. I mean, we had that one that I won for a couple years after that, and then it just kind of went away.
Yep. Well, speaking of match play and stuff, I know you've played several Solheim Cups. I think you played 6. What, obviously we all love that. It's such a fun time to watch. It's such a cool, so different. What's some of your, favorite times from that? What's that really like with all the other American girls and really coming together? Again, that is the one time you've been able to experience that team environment.
Sure.
So what makes that so special and so much fun?
Here comes Emery.
Yeah.
So like I said, I didn't go to college, so I have never really played as a team or, Cannon Cup back in the day, junior golf. I think I played in that maybe twice or so. I played in junior Solheim once. So I had a couple experiences, but not that many. So Solheim has basically been our Olympics forever until obviously now that we have the Olympics. But there is nothing better than putting on the red, white, and blue colors and representing your country, coming together with 11 other teammates and representing your country. I mean, it adds a whole nother level of stress and anxiety because when you have that 3-footer and you miss it, it's not just, the money that I would have made, it's the whole country's watching me. Yeah. But I mean, there is nothing. I mean, you talk about being nervous on the first tee. I mean, you literally feel like you're going to be sick because it's just so stressful, and how they have the grandstands, the tee box feels like it's only about 3 feet wide with all the fans, you know, there watching. And but literally the coolest. I mean, I missed the last one just because I was pregnant with Emery, but I would not want to miss another one moving forward just because they're so much fun. And the last couple of years, I've been lucky enough to play with Brittany Lang, and just her and I together on the golf course. We're basically the same person. So our games are very similar. Our body language and the way we act is basically the same. So it's just so much fun to be out there with a friend and basically just playing golf with a friend and not even focusing on what's happening. We're just trying to shoot the best score that we possibly can.
Yeah, it's so much fun watching it, and it's so much fun just to see, like I said, to see y'all come together, and especially when you kind of know some of you and you see you get paired up and things, and to see that chemistry and to see that the one time, not that you can't, because I mean, you can be emotional and be that way when you're playing by yourself, but when you've got everybody in it, it's the time that you see golfers really get, you know, worked up and just get so into it. And it's so much fun to watch, and can't imagine what it's like to be a part of it and to experience it. It's got to be just, it's so much fun.
That's been the hardest part of coming together as a team. And Julie Inkster obviously has figured it out the last couple of Solheims that she's been the captain, but just because we're so individual and we play against each other, you know, 30 weeks a year, we have so many tournaments now. Just trying to come together as a team, you know, every 2 years for 1 week. It's really hard. So we've definitely been doing more practice team events, you know, or practice rounds together, just trying to kind of figure out each other's games a little bit more and getting to know the person maybe a little bit more, because Julie did the pod system. So we weren't really playing with people who we were best friends with, but our games were better suited for each other. So that was really cool, that how she did that, and how we just had more practice sessions and just kind of, you know, even regular tournament weeks, just playing practice rounds together, just trying to learn each other's games. And I think that's really helped us.
Yes. Yeah. I'm excited for next year's and to have hopefully some things are all back to that being, you know, and spectators and everything like that being allowed. Hopefully, I know. I don't even want that.
No,
I have maybe had a conversation for almost like an hour that has not been talked about yet. So shame on me for bringing that up.
I will
got a couple more questions. Got a couple more questions, and then girls, if y'all have any more, feel free. I know a lot of people are going to be watching this, you know, replayed or whatever. So I'm sure they will have questions as they're watching this. But the ones that are joining us live, if you've got any other questions, make sure you hop on. But we'll spend a couple more minutes. There was a couple of things that I had a few girls want me to ask you about. Which one of the things is, you know, that going from one of the things that I know the girls struggle with the most, and it's a little bit different because, you know, out on tour you have time to go play multiple practice rounds. You've got a caddy, you've got yardage books and all that. But what are some ways that, you know, you do, you know, you're able to go from one golf course to another and to learn the course? Again, it's much different, you know, the junior golf level of not being able to play as many rounds and that kind of stuff. What are some of the ways that you learn, you know, how to adjust from one course to another, things that you always want to make sure you do or look at, or what might that be?
So it's really strange. I actually feel like I would do better if I didn't see the golf course. Sometimes you can overthink or overplay a golf course. So everyone always goes early to the majors, like the US Open. Girls will go out. We have 2 golf courses this year, so it might make more sense this time. But girls are already going to play it and play practice rounds, trying to get used to it. And I did that once. Granted, it was the hardest US Open we've ever played. So that was probably bad now looking back. But I felt like I played worse knowing the golf course more. So like I said, I almost rather play it blind. So then you don't know where all the trouble is, and you're not trying to guard against, you know, hitting it in the wrong spot when you're just focused on hitting the fairway. So like you said, I mean, we have it so easy. I have a wonderful caddy that walks the golf course every week. We have the yardage books. I'm assuming the girls get to use the rangefinders, which is super helpful. But probably my biggest thing I would say for me, because I don't do yardages, you could just draw. So I'm guessing the girls don't even have yardage books, but you could get a notebook from Walmart or somewhere and draw a circle on it. And then I only use the yardage book for the greens. So I'll roll like 15 or 20 putts and just kind of draw lines of which way the putt was breaking. So I know when I go to that hole, I kind of have an idea. I might not have the exact idea, but I kind of have an idea of what it's going to do. And then the biggest thing is figuring out where, and like I just said, you don't really want to know where to miss it. But on the green, if it's like elevated or you really don't want to miss it in a spot, because short-siding yourself is a huge no-no. So I've learned that, you know, especially the majors, because around the green, it's either a lot of rough or really tight grass. It's hard to get it up and down. So you got to miss it in the right spot. It's a game of misses. They always say that, and it's really true. So just finding out where the biggest part of the green is, and that's where your target is. So we played Pinehurst a couple years ago, and my caddy had the yardage book, and there was these little tiny little squares that she highlighted in pink. And so a little square might have been over here, and the pin was like way over there somewhere. So I was literally aiming 30 yards away from the pin sometimes, but that was where you had to hit it to hold the green and to get it to stay on the green. So you might have a 30 or 40 yard putt, but it's on the green and that's your best play. So it's kind of, especially I think the greens are the biggest part of it. Just kind of, you know, knowing which way the putt's going to break and then where not to miss it, I guess. Try not to short side yourself. If you can go 18 holes without short siding yourself, you're doing pretty good.
Yeah, good advice there. Because it's like you said, I think the girls at that age are still trying to be, you know, they think the pros hit it perfect and that every shot is exactly where they want it to be, and that they're not. You don't want to think about, like you said, you don't want to think about where you want to miss it, but at the same time you do. I mean, you want to know, like, if I miss this, or what is my tendency, you know, that's where I don't want to be. And that's as important as where you want to be.
It escalates quickly. If you short side yourself and then you try to hit a flop shot and you leave it short and it rolls back to you, and then you're like, okay, I just made double when all I had to do was hit it, you know, 10 more yards left, you know? So it happens quickly. Big numbers happen quickly. And when you're in trouble, the quickest way is just to get it back out and play as quickly as possible. So even if it's a flop shot, just get it on the green, have a putt. You can always, that one-off chance, you can always make that 30-footer or 20-footer to save par, but always give yourself a putt.
Yeah. Well, and you kind of even touched on about the difference in kind of how you approach, you know, your practice rounds and some other girls, which it's, I think it's something is, and again, I think it's a very general thing, and it's hard probably for girls at that age to understand as well, but really learning to be who you are out there, because I mean, everybody's so different. Like I said, I was a little bit of the same kind of mindset as you had. I think for me, the less I practiced, the less I knew of a golf course, the better, but you got to be okay with that. I think, I personally struggled with not being okay with that. But the 2 U.S. Opens I qualified for were qualifiers that I didn't get a chance to go play practice round. And you know, or a tournament where I was just, that my golf club didn't show up till the night before and barely got to play a practice round with some of my, you know, but it's hard to create that mindset. But I think it's something you've always done so well, but just knowing who you are and knowing what helps your game the best and not getting so caught up. Because you do, you know, as you move from junior golf to college golf to out on tour, you do have to somewhat step things up a little bit. And, you know, you're moving at a different level, but you also can't totally change who you are and that kind of stuff. So what helps you kind of stick with, you know, who you really know that, you know, who you are and how your game is, and being able to kind of have the confidence in that, knowing that, you know, other girls may be out there putting all day or playing these extra practice rounds. How are you able to kind of, you know, keep that level of confidence with that?
Yeah. So a side note, so we played, the KPMG was at Aronimink, and I actually played a Monday Pro-Am at Baltusrol. So I only got to play 9 holes. So I only got to see the golf course once, but totally fine. It worked out great. So just like you said, you just got to know yourself. And that's always worked for me ever since, you know, I probably was a little bit more crazy person back in the day, played more practice rounds, but I maybe play one 18-hole practice round all year, and it's normally at the U.S. Open. And I always hate that day because it's so long and you're out there for like 6 hours, and it's just normally hot and it's no fun. So I never play 18-hole practice rounds. A lot of the golf courses, for granted, you know, we've been to them multiple times, so you really don't need to play more than that. So I normally show up on a Monday, play 9 holes Tuesday, 9 holes Wednesday, tee it up. Or if I get there early, then I still play 9 or 9, and then maybe I'll work on the range for 30 minutes or hit balls, whatever. And then go chip and putt a bunch, because that's where you save a lot of strokes as a short game. So, but yeah, learning, you know, there's so many tour players that they'll hear what I do on a week off, and they're like, gosh, I envy you. Like, how can I do that? Like, why can't I just do that? And they know that if they did that, they'd probably be better. But like you said, they just can't let it go. And they think they have to do X, Y, Z to be at the best and play their best. And I'm sure if they tried it for 1 week and then they didn't play well, they'd be like, oh, it's because I didn't practice. But it could just been an off week. We have off weeks and it's totally fine. So we'll come home for an off week and I play 18 holes, or no, I play like 15 holes on Fridays with our pro, and that'll be like the only day that I practice the whole entire week. I'll go fishing. Now we're blessed with Emery, so I hang out with her a bunch. But when I have an off week, I play maybe one day. Yeah. And it's so funny when we've had a lot of breaks this year, and like we've had, I think 3 or 4 weeks we're going to have off here before our next event. And, I'll hear some of the girls say, oh yeah, I'm going to go home and take probably 2 or 3 days off. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm going to take probably the whole 3 or 4 weeks off. I might play like 5 times. So it just literally, you have to find out what works for you. I don't know if I already said this, but somebody maybe like Julie Inkster literally goes to the driving range for 5 hours a day. She loves the driving range. She is always grinding it out. She's always working on her swing. God bless her. I mean, that's what works for her. And everybody has to find out what works for you. So like I said, I don't like to practice. I like to play. So I'll go do some of my practicing out there, but you will not catch me on the driving range for more than 30 minutes, probably hitting balls. And that's normally my caddy making me hit about 70 wedges. Targets, just working on our 50 to 80 yard wedge shots, but that's about it. But like I said, you just got to find out what works for you, and there's not one right way. Everybody has a different way, and I would probably spend more time on short game than anything.
Yes, that short game for sure.
Yeah, it's the first thing to go always too.
Do I?
It's the first thing to go.
Yes, it is. Yeah, it's true. I feel like I'd say for most people, ball striking tends to come back, and let's actually talk about the different golf courses. It's the one thing that I've always told the girls that, the one thing that changes the most from one course to another is the greens. You're going to have the same swing. I mean, the fairways and stuff, that's going to change a little in terms of the grass, but hitting off tee box, hitting off the fairway isn't nearly as different as the grass around the greens and the speed of the greens and the way they do. And yet everybody wants to go, perfect their swing on the range during their warm up time and all that. And then they're like, oh, I 3-putted, so many times and I can't get the feel of the greens. And like, well, how much did you practice that and work on that? Well, not much. But that's one of the most inconsistent things.
Before though, so when you step up on whatever the tournament day is, it's too late to do it then. That day you're just kind of feeling it out of what your swing is doing that day, because it's not always the same day to day. You just kind of feel like what's going to work for you that day. Your speed might be off or your short putts might be off, and you just kind of figure that little bit out, but definitely work on it before.
Yes, for sure. Well, I know it's getting a little bit late, and I know that like the girls that we have on here are probably getting ready to kind of shut it down for the night to play tomorrow. So I don't want to keep everybody on any longer. Yes, and I mean, if y'all see what I've got going on, I have a Clemson game to go in there and watch that I'm hoping will be good by the time I get in there, and then we're about probably halfway through the first half maybe, so I'm hoping I'm not going to be sorely disappointed. But thank you so much for joining us, Brittany, and it was just good to catch up with you. I know we hadn't had a chance. We keep in touch some, but hadn't had a chance to catch up, so I enjoyed it as much as hopefully the girls out there did.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. Again, to the girls playing tomorrow or any other girls watching this, just never give up. This game is so hard and there's so many ups and downs, but I promise it'll be rewarding in the end. And like I said, whether it's high school level, college level, or just in the future in business, I mean, it's just such a great game to play when you're older, and just stick with it and have fun and go out and kick some butt tomorrow.
All right, Brittany, thank you so much for doing this tonight and your time. Brandy, thank you as well.
Thanks.
So I'll echo her statements. Girls, go get it tomorrow and Monday. We look forward to a great finale to the Invitational and a great way to kick off as we get going on the 2021 season. So thank y'all for all attending tonight, and we'll see you out on the course.
Good. Bye, everybody.
Bye.